Hi, welcome to Montana State of Mind with me, Montana, a channel where we recap vintage paperback novels, those ones that you would see at a drugstore and you're just like, who reads those? What is in them? Welcome to the channel where we find out. Now, for the month of November, I was trying to focus on Native American centered stories since it is Native American Heritage Month, and Forever and Beyond, best book we've read so far on this channel, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to top. You can't beat Penelope Neary's storytelling. And y'all voted and chose the next book to be White Squaw by E.J. Henry. And now we read some pretty rough content on this channel. We read about pretty sensitive subjects. However, and I think with a title like White Squaw, we knew we were in for some interesting storytelling. We don't usually do a lot of authors who are men. We haven't done really any outside of Caroline Farr, if you will. So we were interested as a group to see how the, quote, white girl captive by a Native American tribe trope was going to be told from a woman's perspective and a man's. Penelope Neary, tons of research, tons of respect, amazing story. E.J. Henry, without giving it the time of day, because I feel like the more I expand upon how awful the content in that book was, the more curious people are going to be and want to go see how bad it is. You know how we are. But I promise y'all, I understand. I had a true crime phase, horror movies. I understand the morbid curiosity of how sick humans can be. But that series, because there's 24 of those that were wrote, published, and put in bookstores, which I think at the time it was written, I think in 1953. Not surprising that not a single woman was probably on staff to go, I don't know about this, guys. I don't know. And I know we weren't expecting Penelope Neary with White Squaw by any means, but I was not expecting the level of eroticism on child rape, necrophilia. There was one consensual sex scene between two adults in the whole book, much less I don't even know the whole series. It glorified and wrote in great detail, like I said, forceful sexual acts against children. The oldest age, I think, was 16. Everything else was 14, 8 years old, even younger. And it was written in a way, because at first I was reading it wanting to be like, okay, well, we can discuss how a woman can portray a sexual assault scene and a man of this time. But it was just written in a way that you could tell, and I know you're like, well, how can you tell? But you can tell when it's written for porn purposes. None of the sexual assault scenes or rough scenes that we have depicted on this channel have ever been written in a exciting, tantalizing way. They're written to express a negative experience, whereas these were not at all. Not only were they not necessary to the plot, honestly, the whole plot of White Squaw, from what I can gather from my research, it is a pornographic series. It is meant for porn. And it is loosely, kind of like a porno, has a plot that you can somewhat follow along. But for the most part, it is meant to be porn. So yeah, I got to one section of the book where it was just hit after hit after hit of child rape. And so I just got up and I threw it in my fireplace. That's the only way. I didn't even think it deserved to be thrown away. I said, this needs to be destroyed. This needs to be out of the world. It was just sick, y'all. And if y'all ever see a White Squaw novel, you have my permission to steal it and burn it. Don't pay for it, ever. I don't care if it's a little old lady and she has her little old booth at the county fair and it's just in there. Just take it. And I don't know. I'm kidding. Don't steal. Oh my God. I don't want someone to take me to court and be like, well, a YouTuber told me to. But you know what I mean. It's just We thought it was going to be just racist hot garbage. It was so much more, and I just can't recap it because it was honestly just, like I said, it was just child porn. I don't know how to make that palatable to anybody, and I don't want to. Don't make me do it. But yeah, I just chunked it in my fireplace and said, well, we're just going to go into Christmas. Luckily, Penelope Nery's Forever and Beyond, like I said, is such an amazing book. It can hold November on its own. It can hold Native American Heritage Month on its two bronze shoulders, you know? So that's what I have to say about White Squaw. It's a shame that that was popular, but it's not surprising because honestly, it read like hentai. I don't know if people are familiar with the anime porn genre that is hentai, but it really just read as just a lot of underage forceful acts that were supposed to be a turn on. And you're just like, what does that say about that society? What does that say about that society? Anyways, so I wanted my next books to be such the palate cleanser because we got to, even if you haven't read it, we need to scrub our brains. We need to be reminded of the good in the world, of the cute, of the innocent, of the fun, of the, again, the Christmas spirit, if you will. I tried to find a Christmas romance novel, couldn't find one as quick as I needed it. So I dug in my own personal little vintage library, and I have the Animal Arc Colt on Christmas, and I have the Treasured Horse Collection Christmas in Silver Lake. So we're having Horse Girl Christmas, okay? I'm a horse girl. I have I'm not trying to self-promote, but I do have a really good horse girl video essay if you are interested in why horse girl is a thing. I worked really hard on it, so I really am proud of it. Horse Girl Christmas, to cleanse our brain of the nasty, awful, patriarchal, hot mess that is White Squaw. On this channel, we usually do fictional author lore, we discuss the cover, and I do a recap. And this one, because they're so little, I decided to just put 2 in 1. We won't do fictional author lore because the authors on kind of these books, there's so many. But we will do the covers. And yeah, I will recap you. Let's just pretend, okay, it's Christmas. That's a very youthful time to kind of reach back and feel like a kid again. So let's just pretend it's Christmas at school. I'm your teacher. Ugh, I'd hate to be a teacher. I'd be a terrible teacher. But anyways, I'm your teacher. We did our testing. Everything's kind of real chill. We're not really doing a lot of work. And so I'm just going to tell you all these stories at the little carpet. Okay. We've got a nice little carpet here. Circle time. Okay. I'm in a nice 90s looking turtleneck. For those audio listeners. Yeah. Just imagine like a 90s cream turtleneck here. A nice little stud earring. Very business professional. I've got my 90s poofy hair going on. And I'm just gonna, hey class, let's get our Christmas tree cakes, some juice, keep our hands to ourselves, crisscross applesauce, and I'm gonna tell y'all some great Christmas little horse stories. Now, real quick, I just want to say my PSA for Christmas time always is I know a lot of us get kind of depressed during the holidays because as we grow older, we get these rose-tinted glasses of it was better when I was a kid. Christmas was more magical when I was a kid. The only reason it was magical, y'all, is because you were a kid and it was given to you. Your parents did the magic. They decorated the home. They decorated their house. They made the cookies. They put on the Christmas specials for you. They did everything. And when you become when you become an adult, a lot of people are like, oh, where's the Christmas magic? Well, y'all, you have to make it yourself. But that's a fun thing. I'm a mom, and even if I wasn't, you can make that Christmas magic for yourself. I remember when I was a single mom and my oldest was with his father for Christmas, and I still made that Christmas magic for myself. I did the Christmas tree. I made a fire. I got some hot chocolate, and I made a little meal, and I watched the Golden Girls Christmas specials, and I had a really nice time. And when you have kids, it's even more fun, Again, everything that we had for our Christmases is still around. You can still watch the same movies. You can even go to YouTube and find like Christmas blocks of TV that people have recorded. You can still make the shitty Pillsbury Christmas tree cookies. You can still make hot chocolate. You can do all of these things. You know, I know you have to find the initiative to do it yourself, but Christmas magic is still there, y'all. Okay? It's just your parents sadly probably aren't there to do it for you. So don't get all sad that Christmas just doesn't feel the same. It can, you just have to try, okay? And so that's what I'm doing right now. I am making Christmas magic for y'all because I love making Christmas magic. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to open up this Christmas season here. You're full of turkey, hopefully, or whatever the hell you eat for Thanksgiving. And you're sitting there and you're getting your Christmas tree out, maybe decorating, I don't know. And you're going to listen to me tell you some Christmas stories so we can get into the Christmas spirit together. Let's get into these stories because I know what you're thinking. Like, these are little baby books, middle grade, whatever. But they're still really cute stories. I really liked reading these. I have this section behind me here, and some of y'all may wonder what this is. So this is Montana's kid nostalgia shelf of books that I either loved growing up or would have loved growing up. I get it when I go like thrift shopping and stuff. Like, I've got the Royal Diaries, I've got Animal Ark, I have got Mary Poppins, I have got Bella Sarah. Again, I am a horse girly at heart. Rose Petal Place, Strawberry Shortcake, all of those amazing books I loved as a kid. And I buy those because I love treating the child in me. Now, our first book class is an Animal Ark book. And that was my first chapter books when I was little, when I was your age. When I was young, I discovered Animal Ark. And that was my bread and butter for a chapter book. Because every book in the Animal Ark, it takes place in a vet clinic in England. And they deal with various animals throughout the series. My favorite were the Halloween series. Like, they had like an Egyptian cat book, a ghost Hound of the Baskervilles kind of style book. That was real fun. And I also love the Christmas ones. My favorite one, actually, and I have it right here, is Goat in the Garden. And it's got this cute little Black Phillip, if you will, this little black billy goat, and his name is Houdini, and he is so mischievous. And I actually went out and like hunted this one down to buy it because I grew up with little goats and stuff, and so I had to have Goat in the Garden when I was little. And I remember reading this outside. We had like old playground equipment in my pasture, and I would hang off of the monkey bars and read it to my horses and my goats, you know, because I thought they liked to hear it. Oh my goodness. I was such a little, bless my heart. I was such a sweet young girl. All right. So this Colt on Christmas Eve, it is a Kelly green cover, if you will, Kelly green cover. And the depiction is, imagine like a painting, if you will, of a blue winter sky, snow everywhere, snow covered trees, snow covered ground, a big huge full moon. And then we have this reddish roan horse, and he's got a shaggy mane, big bang on this colt here, big brown eyes, and he has a leather collar with a big jingle bell and a big Christmas ribbon of like a, what is it, like a plaid Christmas ribbon with like a little holly cluster on the bell. Very cute. Oh, and little snowflakes are falling. Very, very cute. Animal Ark is a series that takes place with a girl named Mandy, and she is the daughter of two vets. And so it's just kind of her growing up in a veterinary clinic and just like all the crazy stuff that happens. So we open with Mandy Hope, again, our title character here. And her parents and her are driving to her great aunt Pip's for Christmas. And she has never met her great aunt Pip, but they're going for Christmas. What really, again, I really pick up on food in novels, and she's eating a to-go, like a takeout cheese and tomato sandwich. I don't know if that's a like English thing. That sounds nasty. A tomato and cheese. What kind of cheese? What kind of I mean, maybe if it was like a fried green tomato with like pepper jack, I can see it, but it's just like tomato and cheese sandwich, especially a to-go tomato and cheese sandwich, sounds wild to be eaten in the car. Mandy and her family are from Yorkshire, but they are going to Woodhurst. I don't know shit about English area, but if you are, that's where they are. They are singing Christmas carols, and she's embarrassed from her family because her mom's like singing real loud. Great little family drive. Mandy is very excited because in this area they are known for their wild ponies. Hello, wild ponies on Christmas Eve? I mean, I would pay for that trip. Anyways, so they arrive to Great Aunt Pip's house, and I really love the setting here, okay? Mandy stared, enchanted, at the uneven-looking house of dark red brick. It had a mossy thatched roof and white-framed windows. Dark green ivy and crimson Virginia creeper covered the walls, and a warm yellow light shone out of the windows. Smoke twirled into the evening sky from a pair of chimneys that looked like they were leaning distinctly to one side, and a large gray cat was sitting on the doorstep, its long, plumy tail wrapped around itself like a fluffy winter scarf. It looked like the perfect witch's cottage, and when a tall, angular woman with short gray-red hair came out the front door, Mandy wasn't sure whether to be relieved or disappointed that Great Aunt Pip wasn't wearing a pointed black hat. "Come in from the cold." Her great aunt hugged them in turn and ushered them in the tiny hallway where she could examine them more clearly under the light. "Hello, Emily, dear," she said, giving Mandy's mother a resounding kiss on the cheek. "Skitty as ever, I see. How was the trip? It must have taken you hours. Out of the way, Pyramus," she scolded the gray cat that was winding around her ankles and meowing hopefully. "He's gorgeous," Mandy exclaimed, bending down and sinking her fingers into Pyramus's cloudy gray fur. The cat purred and blinked its wide yellow eyes at her. Great Aunt Pip laughed. "Oh, he's not bad," she said fondly. "Though when he brings half-dead birds inside, I have a different opinion of him. Come into the kitchen. I have hot soup waiting." I don't know why I'm making her sound like Dick Van Dyke's British accent and Mary Poppins. I'm so sorry. Straightening up, Mandy got the shock of her life as she came face to face with a huge barn owl with spreading snow-white wings that appeared to be swooping down at her. Real fun fact. So I used to work with barn owls at the zoo. They're beautiful, but they're very difficult for falconry. I could explain in detail, but when they are nervous, they'll, oh God, this is gonna be so hard for the audio listeners. Y'all are really missing out. They'll pull up their shoulders like this, and they'll do their head around in circles to look bigger, and it's just really silly, but it's very intimidating when you walk, because we had a fake barn, and so we had a ton of them that would just kind of do their barn owl shit, and they hate people, and so they would all, even when they had little chicks, all the chicks just instinctively are doing this. It's very unnerving. It works, I promise. Back to Great Aunt Pip. "I must apologize for Twit," Great Aunt Pip said, seeing Mandy's face. "He dates from a time when it was quite normal to stuff wild animals and hang them on the walls. An awful lot here at Beach End Cottage dates from long ago." She waved around the dim hallway where Mandy could see more strange animal shapes. "They've been here longer than I have," she added with a smile. And Mandy goes through Great Aunt Pip's house, and she's got like just a lot of weird animal stuff. Like she's got a stuffed badger in her living room and like old photographs of wilderness things. And you know an old person's house where you're walking around and they have just like some of the weirdest stuff. In contrast, Great Aunt Pip's kitchen was bright and warm with bright red walls and a pot of what smelled like mushroom soup bubbling on the cream-colored stove. Traveler's Joy was twisted around the beams on the ceiling. The fluffy seed pods hung like little lanterns above the scrubbed oak table where 3 bowls, some butter, and a basket of poppy seed bread stood waiting for them. Pyramus the cat brushed past Mandy's ankles and settled down on the flat cushion next to the stove. And I just thought that was like a really, Christmas. Again, in this area, there are lots of wild ponies. They are known for their wild ponies. And a lot of people in this village are agasters. And so that, I think, is kind of the American equivalent of like a forest ranger. Not literally, but for this American audience, imagine a forest ranger. So a lot of people in this town are Agasters. Mandy goes to sleep. Again, this cottage reminds me of the cottage in The Holiday. Just like, ooh, little English cottage. Which always sounds real nice, but then it's like always fucking freezing if you've ever stayed in one. Ooh, it's cold. Anyways, Mandy wakes up the next morning, and I thought this was a beautiful rendition. Again, this little book, I know it's for like little kids, but there's just little cozy little pocket reads, if you will. If you got a little lunch and you don't want to like dive into something heavy, cute little pocket read. Don't feel ashamed at all. Quote, an overnight frost had swirled glittering patterns on the woodland that bordered the field and the 3 other sides of Great Aunt Pip's yard. Mandy let her eyes drift over the sturdy oaks and the elegant gray trunks of beech trees. She recognized birches too, with their delicate branches and silvery stems, and shiny green holly bushes smothered with festive red berries. The trees stood knee-deep in russet ferns, yellow gold moss, and leaf mold the color of chocolate. Set against a deep blue sky, everything was surprisingly colorful for the middle of winter. And I like that because I think we kind of forget winter can be very beautiful. I know January can be very gray and muddy in some areas, but you gotta find the beauty in everything. She meets a girl her age called Lizzie Savage. Crazy name. But Lizzie Savage, her family are Agasters. They really know the ponies. And so Great Aunt Pip is like doing that grandma thing, or that old lady thing, if you will, of just like, y'all are the same age, go be friends. Like it's that easy. So Mandy and Lizzie go off because Mandy's interested in the ponies. Great Aunt Pip's like, Lizzie loves the ponies. She'll tell y'all about them. Y'all go be friends. And Lizzie's kind of shy. They meet a gray mare called Willow. Now Willow is one of the wild ponies, but her face is heavily deformed. She is missing an eye and it's kind of sunken in. And that is because she was hit by a car. And here we kind of get Mandy and Lizzie discussing these wild ponies kind of having to live with modern society, which means a lot of people driving very fast through this village. And Willow was hit. She has a colt named Jingle, and that is who is on the cover. And the reason he's called Jingle is because when he was born, the farmers and Agasters decided to put a little bell around him so that his mom, who is half blind, could find him. And that's so sweet. And literally as they are talking with Willow and Jingle's real standoffish. He's just a colt, kind of. He's probably like a year or two. So grown, not a baby by any means, but still very young. He's very standoffish with people. But as they are literally talking about it, Willow almost gets hit by a freaking car again because there's construction going on. There's houses being built in this village. And so she's focusing on chainsaws. Her hearing is picking up chainsaws and she's not picking up on the cars driving, and she almost gets hit. And so this book is also a very big, heavy theme on development and wildlife living together. They go for a ride on the ponies. Like Lizzie has her own ponies. And so they go for a ride. Lizzie's really impressed with how well Mandy can respect and understand how to handle horses despite never really riding them herself. Again, this girl's grown up around animals. She knows stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, especially with a horse. But of course, some nasty little teenage boys go through the woods on motorbikes, and it scares the horses. And so Lizzie's taking off on her horse. Mandy's taking off on her horse. It's chaos. Mandy notices that Jingle runs off from Mom. He gets stuck in a bog. And of course, you immediately go to Neverending Story. And like, who is it? Atreyu, that little horse. And he's pulling that horse out of that bog. Like, that's immediately what my mind went to. I was like, oh my God, Jingle, no. Jingle, no. But it's not a deep bog. And so Mandy gets like on her stomach and crawls because, again, horses are very skittish. And so she tries to be as small and low as possible. And she starts singing Jingle Bells to him because she doesn't know what, like, you know, she's like, come here, Jingle, come here. And she's talking slow and trying to lure him out and trying to get him to pull himself out. And she's singing Jingle Bells to him. Bless her little heart. And he does. He pulls himself out. He's a mess and she's a mess. And they smell like stinky ass bog. But it's a very sweet moment. She earns a lot of respect from Lizzie and like the village because she's like willing to get this horse out. I loved this. Lizzie's mad at those boys and she calls them gruckles. And I don't know what a gruckle is, but she says it means tourist. So she's like, those pesky grockles. Mandy goes back to her great aunt's. She takes a very much needed hot bath, gets in her cozy sweats, a big old cardigan, and she gets some hot chocolate, and she sits with the cat at a little stove, and it's just so English countryside Christmas cozy. We go to day 3, and again, Lizzie told her dad, who's a big Agaster again, about what Mandy did, and so he invites Mandy to come do his little morning runs with him and Lizzie, because he's like, you obviously know what you're doing. Why don't you come hang with us? You know, shadow, if you will. And she's like, oh my God, yes. I love this. They go have a breakfast of hot cocoa and waffles. And it just sounds, again, like this book is so cozy. Book is so cozy. And she's munching on her waffles. And they get a call that a pony called Scallywag got into some barbed wire, which always happens with livestock. I swear they're attracted to it at this point. I've had to pull more goats out of barbed wire, and of course they're panicking, and it's just a nightmare. And my horses have run it. When I grew up with horses, they ran into some barbed wire. My cows, they do it on purpose, I think. They just don't care. But anyways, it's always a nasty situation. A lot of open wounds you got to deal with, okay? And now, when you live out in the country, no matter where, whether that be Japan, England, Arkansas, when you live out in the country and you have livestock, you really have to know a lot of veterinary skills, because a vet is not always on hand, and they're going to have to drive a very long way depending on how far out you are. Like I said, when my cows have gotten scrapes and scraps, I have to then go administer medicine. In fact, I do their shots and stuff here. I just go to the vet's office and get all their shots and everything. And I do it here myself. But anyways, I think a lot of people, when they want to live a rural lifestyle with livestock, underestimate just how difficult it is. It's very difficult. You do not need to have a squeamish stomach, and you do need to be okay with death, because it's going to happen a lot. But luckily, Mandy's parents are vets. And so they just call Mandy's parents and they come help. And it's just like, a vet is probably never really on vacation, even when they're on vacation. Because like throughout this book, her parents are constantly working on these ponies. Lizzie and Mandy go to town. Lizzie sees those teenage boys and she gives them a Hermione Granger scolding. And she makes them apologize. And she's like, you better slow the fuck down. You're going to hit a pony. Lizzie's mom is an artist. And so they go to her art gallery, and Mandy is just transfixed with this little fox statue. You know how you just see art and it just sometimes grabs you? This little fox statue and Mandy, they just are in sync. She's like, oh my God. And she does that thing when she looks at the price tag and she's like, ooh, that is more than my allowance. Ew. They go back to Great Aunt Pip's, and Pyramus the cat is not eating and he's acting very sick, and they're very worried. We have a sick cat on our hands. And again, it's out in the country. So she's just, as much as Mandy's parents can help, they don't have their office. So they're just like, all we can do is administer antibiotics that we have on hand and just hope for the best. And then they have to go help another pony who has a hoof infection from stepping on a rusty soda can. So again, her poor parents are on vacation and just round the clock running around. Mandy misses Jingle. You know, all this chaos of like trying to help all these goddamn ponies. The cat's sick. She's going around town. She's missing Jingle. Remember, Jingle and Willow are wild ponies. So it's not like she can just go see them at Lizzie's house. But she had a bond with Jingle. They are preparing for a Christmas pageant. I love that Mandy's parents, along with veterinary inclusion in this village, they're just like, y'all should come sing in the choir. Y'all love singing. Come sing in the church choir. And again, Mandy's parents are like, okay. We were on vacation, but sure. And I want to point out real quick that Lizzie's mom, again, is an artist, and she makes these pine-scented candles that Lizzie gives to Great Aunt Pip, because Great Aunt Pip loves these candles, and that's going to be important later. But I need to go ahead and put that plot point of pine-scented candles. So Mandy's very upset. She hasn't seen Jingle. The cat's sick. You know, she's a vet. She's a vet at heart. But anyways, they try to distract themselves by going to a mince pie making party at the Savages. And I guess it's kind of like when you're making like tamales or meat pies, and you kind of like get the whole crew together. It's kind of like that, but with like mince meat pies, like the English kind. Mr. Savage opened the front door with a smile and a smudge of flour on the end of his nose. "Welcome to the mince tart factory," he said, taking Mandy's coat. "Come on in. It's all hands on deck this afternoon." The kitchen was full of steam and the scent of orange peel and mincemeat. Judging from the pile of dishes in the drying rack, it looked as if Mr. Savage had used every single pan in the house so far. "Where's Lizzie?" Mandy asked, rolling up her sleeves and putting on the striped apron that Mr. Savage handed to her. "She groomed Piper when she brought him in and transferred all the mud from him to her," Mr. Savage said. "So she's up having a bath." Mandy frowned. "If Piper's already in his stable, why is Kit still in the field?" Mr. Savage's eyes twinkled. "That's for me to know and you to find out," he teased. "Now, let's get down to business. We've got 4 hours to make 70 mince tarts, bake them and put them in baskets and take them over to the church. Let's get moving." And so they are just grinding out mincemeat pies for church, which, again, I know they're on vacation, but it sounds kind of fun. It sounds, again, that community, that Christmas, and you're making pies. It sounds real fun. And remember, Quince, is Lizzie's horse, and Mandy's like, where's Lizzie's horse? I didn't see him out in the yard. And that's because he's going to pull the little cart for the pies. They gussied them up in like little Christmas jingle bells and put them like a little sleigh behind him. And he's going to bring in the mincemeat pies to church. And I don't know, I just thought it was really cute. And so they go to church and they have a great old time. Day 4. And I think this is Christmas Eve. There's a pony invasion. And again, much with a lot of rural living, fences are just suggestions for a lot of animals. And so Mandy wakes up and her great Aunt Pip's yard is covered in wild ponies. And her great Aunt Pip is out there probably in her little moo-moo and her robe, just like, "Oh, get off it. You owe me my beats." And Lizzie's out there trying to help. Mandy's parents are in town, so they're not there to help. And so Mandy throws on some muck boots, a jacket, and she's out there in her pajamas trying to get these damn ponies out. And oh my God, livestock are very stubborn. Especially if there's food involved, you're not going to get them. You just can only entice them with something they want more, which is what Mandy does. Because Mandy's like, "Hey, these wild ponies always want to hang out with your ponies, right, Lizzie?" And Lizzie's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, let's go get your ponies and ride them through this herd and the herd will follow them." And so they do that. Again, Mandy's very smart for someone who's not raised around horses. She understands an animal's noggin. And so again, she just entices them with something better than cabbages. And I love that Lizzie, she's like, "Pretty good work for a grockle." This grockle term. It reminds me of like some kind of Harry Potter stuff. So they lure the pony herd out of poor great Aunt Pip's ruined vegetable garden. And we have this exchange. "Hey," Lizzie exclaimed, "I just saw a snowflake." Sure enough, tiny white puffs of snow were drifting out of the leaden sky. They swirled around Mandy and Lizzie, falling to the ground and melting almost immediately. But soon, the flakes were staying where they fell, and the path began to resemble a ruffled chocolate cake covered with a thin dusting of icing sugar. "It's getting thicker," said Mandy, urging Kent to a trot. "Let's get back." Lizzie's eyes shone with excitement. "It's Christmas Day tomorrow. I've never had a white Christmas. Do you think we'll get much more snow?" As if to answer her question, there was a sudden surge of white and the snow began to fall heavy. Fortunately, Beach End Cottage was only 5 minutes away. Laughing and gasping in the cold, Mandy and Lizzie cantered the ponies back to the field, took off their bridles and gave them a good rub down and a pair of waterproof blankets to keep them warm. Lizzie explained that usually New Forest ponies had thick enough coats for the cold weather, but she thought Kent and Piper might object to being covered in snow. Great Aunt Pip was standing at the gate when they made their way back to the cottage. "Oh, I'm so glad you're back. I was so worried." "The snow's not that thick," Mandy joked. "It's not the snow I'm worried about," Grand Aunt Pip said. "It's Pyramus. He's disappeared." Oh, and that fucking cat doing what cats do when they're sick. They fucking hide. Oh, I hate that. Nothing makes you panic more. So they've got this sick cat out in the snow. And so they think that Pyramus has pneumonia and he's out in the snow. And it's like Mandy can't catch a break. She's like, oh my God, I'm trying to save ponies. I am trying to make pies for the church. Now I got to go find this goddamn cat. You know, it's quite the busy vacation. But Mandy, again, this book it helps little kids and maybe even adults understand how animals' brain works. And we all know, if you've been around cats, that they love tight, enclosed spaces that are calm. And so Mandy, she looks everywhere. Everybody's looking everywhere. They look outside. They really hope he's not out like in the woods. But she's like, I wonder. And she opens her suitcase and there's Pyramus. And she's like, oh, thank God you were in the suitcase. Cats love suitcases. But she has a diagnosis. She has a hunch because Mandy's going to be the world's best vet in the world. And she's like, hey, Lizzie, can you go blow out all of those pine scented candles? Because upstairs you don't smell them as strong. And she's wondering, like, I think Pyramus is allergic to the candles because he got sick, quote unquote, as soon as Great Aunt Pip lit the candles. And so Lizzie goes and she blows them all out. And then her and Mandy open all the windows to try to air it out. And Great Aunt Pip's pissed. She's just like, do you know how much I pay for my heating bill? But she understands it's for the cat, freshen the air. And with that, Pyramus starts purring and he's perking back up. So Mandy's like, oh, I think he was just really overwhelmed with these pine-scented candles. Again, she's a genius. They go to Christmas Eve dinner with everybody. They're like, Mandy, you're so smart. You just saving ponies, saving kitties. Oh my God, you're going to be like Dr. Pole medicine woman. But someone knocks on the door, okay? Someone knocks on the door and they go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hit a patch of ice. I hit a pony. And you're like, oh my God, what pony got hit? Because it sounds really bad. And come to find out, and this is where it gets sad. So trigger warning for not fun animal stuff. Willow has been hit. Again, she is half blind. It's dark. There's a lot of construction, a lot of Christmas chaos going on. She probably did not hear the car. She has been hit. Lizzie is beyond upset. Rightfully so. And here we have this exchange. Dr. Adam knelt down and gently rested his hand on Willow's neck. Snow fell softly around her, piling against her flanks in little drifts. Mandy could see that Willow was still breathing, but only just. She bit hard on her lip when she saw a small trickle of blood seeping out of Willow's nose. That was the worst possible sign. It looks as if she has badly broken her leg, several broken ribs, and some severe internal injuries, Dr. Adams said sadly as he ran his hands over Willow's side. He looked up at them. I'm sorry, but it's too late to help her. The best we can do is put her out of her pain. No, Lizzie burst out. She's still breathing. There's something you can do. Mandy's mom gazed at her with compassion in her eyes. The snow must have muffled the sound of the car and taken Willow by surprise. The car went right off the road. She didn't have a chance. The kindest thing to end is her pain, Lizzie, she said. I'm so sorry it has to be this way. No, Dad, tell them. Sobbing, Lizzie fell on her knees in the snow. It's okay, Lizzie, Mr. Savage said gently, leaning down to help his daughter to her feet. It's for the best. Mandy will take care of you. Come away, please. Mandy swallowed her own tears and put her arm around Lizzie's shoulders. However much her heart was breaking for poor brave Willow, it must be 100 times worse for Lizzie, who had known the mare so much longer. She let her friend away from the scene, glad that the falling snow would cloak the grim sound of the bolt gun. Beneath the snow-laden trees, the air was so still that Mandy could hear the painful beat of her heart. Lizzie hid her face in her hands, pulling away from Mandy. Go away, she cried, her voice thick with tears. Leave me alone. Mandy laid her hand on her shoulder. Willow's gone, Lizzie, she said. We can't do anything for her now. But what about Jingle? Lizzie sobbed. He's lost his mom. Jingle. Mandy's heart twisted. Where was he? The driver said he had only hit one pony, but in this weather, with so much snow, how could he be sure? She took Lizzie by the shoulders. We have to find Jingle, she said urgently. There's something we can do for Willow. Find her Colt and make sure he's okay. Lizzie sniffed and wiped her nose on her sleeve. Find Jingle, she echoed, hiccuping. Yes, you're right. But where do we look? So, in the chaos of Willow being hit, and Jingle, remember, was a very flighty colt, he has ran off. Oh, God. And it's snow, it's dark, it's Christmas Eve. And they have to go find this little colt who has lost his mother, and it's a sad fucking Christmas. This is a bummer of a Christmas, okay? But it's not a kid's novel without a good ending, so stay with me, okay? I was telling Cody, my husband, I was just like, this is like a Disney movie. Why does someone have to die? Why does someone have to die? They go on horseback because they feel like with horses, they can kind of get a horse eye view of things. And so they do find Jingle, and he is very out of it. So in horses, a lot of animals, but especially horses, their adrenaline can kill them. It's like poison almost. If they get too scared, it can act as poison. And so Jingle right now is not only freezing cold, but he is so out of it. He is dazed from the adrenaline rush that he has experienced. They load him up in a trailer. He doesn't fight one bit. Again, this was like flighty little Jingle. He didn't like people. He was so fiery, and he just gets on that wagon. He is so out of it, which is so concerning. And they feed him hot mash. They put him in a stable. They keep him warm as best they can. And the vets, again, talk about how some animals can lose the will to live. And here's a fun little story, if you care, is again, livestock raising is not what cottagecore TikTok makes it out to be. It's actually extremely difficult. So I've owned tons of animals in my life. I've literally worked at a zoo and I've grown up. I've been privileged enough to grow up with so much livestock, so many animals. I was like Mandy. I had a little bit of everything growing up, but I had never had a dairy cow. And so, of course, when I moved out here, I wanted to have 2 little dairy cows, 2 little Jersey cows. I found some. Great. And what I learned is dairy cows don't have a will to live. Not only is it very difficult to raise a young animal because they have to be a certain age and weight to get vaccines. So you do have to keep them very clean and healthy, especially when they're livestock, because everything wants to kill them. But these calves had no desire, no fight. And I went to the vet and talked to them, and he literally was like, we've bred the will to live out of dairy cattle. They don't care. Because my neighbors had beef cattle, and they're sitting there plopping out calves, and the calves are just walking through the woods, fit as a fiddle. And I was like, why are my cows suffering? Why are they struggling? They're so weak and sick. And he was like, dairy cows we just bred it out of them. So I sat there, not on Christmas Eve, mind you. I think it was in the springtime. But I sat there in my barn crying with milk and a tube down their throat. Each calf, I would take turns and force feed them to get, medicine and milk down them, stroking their throats, crying with them in my lap. Pretty much stayed out there for a few nights, sleeping with them almost, sobbing, praying to every cow god I could think of for these calves to push through. I did everything I could. And I have 2 ginormous cows now in my pasture because they didn't have the will to live, but I had enough for all of them and myself. I manifested it so hard, and I worked so hard getting those cows. Like I said, it was a struggle, y'all. And that is what Mandy and Lizzie are doing right now. They are staying with Jingle in that barn. They asked their parents, they're just like, we're going to stay with him. We're going to lay with him and be with him. We're going to spoon feed him. I mean, I know I'm going on side tangents, but I remember my dad, I had a sick horse one time and he had to go sit out in the barn, and him and my mom were like spoon feeding him water. He was so sick with pneumonia one time. It's tough. I don't recommend it if you just want cute little animals. But anyways, Mandy and Lizzie are in that barn with this horse. Again, just manifesting and doing everything they can to get some fluids in him, to sit with him, to keep him warm. It's Christmas Eve, Here we have this Gratefully, Mandy snuggled down in the bracken and closed her eyes. It seemed only moments later when she felt Lizzie's hand on her shoulder. Opening her eyes, Mandy found herself looking at the 4 roan-colored legs standing unsteadily beside her. Glancing up, she saw Jingle, burying his nose in the manger. "He's eating!" she gasped and scrambled to her feet. "He's going to be okay." "I knew Jingle wouldn't give in without a fight." Lizzie grinned and looked down at her watch. "It's midnight, Mandy. Merry Christmas." Oh, God, it's going to make me cry. It's a Christmas miracle, y'all. Oh, my God. They have Christmas breakfast. Their dad, Dr. Adam, brings them Christmas breakfast in the barn. He checks out Jingle. He's going to be okay. He just needs a lot of rest and warmth and recuperation from the shock. Lizzie gets a new grooming brush in her stocking, and so they sit there and they groom Jingle, and he is shining. And Mandy kind of reflects back on, she bonds really well with Jingle because her parents died in a car crash. Mandy is adopted in this series. I forgot about that. And she reflects on her mom and dad also passing away in a car crash. So you have this like really cute trauma bond with her and Jingle on Christmas. Jingle heals. He feels a lot better. He's really bored in that barn. And so they're like, okay, let's go try to put him back out in the woods. He will find his herd. But the second they get him near a road, he freezes. He's not going to handle that road well, ever. And so they really worry what they're going to do with this wild pony that can't be around roads, you know? The next day is Boxing Day, and there's a Boxing Day race. Again, this is a very horse village. Everybody has ponies and raises ponies, and so they race ponies on Boxing Day. Mandy's Christmas, she gets that fox statue real quick. It's a cute moment. Her parents give her that fox statue. So she's having a pretty good time, but she is worried about Jingle's future. And then Mr. Savage and Lizzie come with the good news that they will take Jingle in. They will take him in, they will raise him, and they will take care of him. Because, you know, he's a wild pony, but you can't, what are you going to do? Just throw him out there and he's going to panic every time he sees a road? Like, no, that'd be cruel. So luckily, Lizzie and her dad are going to take him in, and it's going to be super sweet. And let me read y'all the last page of Colt on Christmas Eve. Mandy's head was filled with thoughts of Jingle and his new home. She dropped the reins on Puffin's neck and leaned across his withers to hug Lizzie in triumph. Puffin's head shot up as the galloping ponies approached. Too late, Mandy realized what was about to happen. She made a grab for the reins, but Puffin had already leaped away from the others and was sprinting towards the competitors. "Hey!" Mandy gasped as the little gray pony flew among the racing ponies. To her horror, she saw the finish line looming ahead. Somehow she was in the race. "Look out! Hey, get out of the way!" Riders all around her were shouting and waving their arms. "Sorry, this wasn't my idea," Mandy shouted. With his neck stretched out flat like a thoroughbred's, Puffin pushed through the other ponies and bounded across the finish line. Their other ponies had been galloping flat out for several minutes, whereas he had crossed the forest more slowly, so it wasn't hard to outrun them. The other riders looked dismayed at the sight of a pony that looked as if he had hardly broke a sweat. Puffin thundered across the finish line, then seemed to realize that he was on his own, and slowed down to wait for his friends. "Oh no!" Mandy hid her face in her hands while Puffin tossed his head as if he had just won the Derby. "Puffin, what have you done?" "And we have a winner," a voice declared from a loudspeaker. "Oh, the young lady seems to have lost her identification along the way. Do we have an entry number for this competitor?" And that's the end of the book. Isn't that a cute little story? I really liked it. I thought it was super cute. I love these little animal arc books. They are just so stinking cute. And the Halloween ones are like mysteries, so they're real fun. I could see that being made into a little Disney movie or like a little... They should animate these. Ooh, that would be great. Okay, without losing steam on Horse Girl Christmas, let's get into now the Treasured Horse Collection. I know I just said Animal Arc was my bread and butter. Treasured Horse Collection was what my elementary school had. And so I would just rack up the AR points on some Treasured Horse collections. I have a few of my favorites. Let's just do show and tell here real quick. So I want to collect all of them, but they're real hard to find on eBay. But my favorite is, of course, Louisiana Blue. It's so fun. And then my second favorite, I love this Changing Times about a Tennessee walking horse. And then there's Spirit of the West about a Native American. I think she's Navajo girl, and she's got an Appaloosa. Like, it's always a girl. It's like an American girl novel with a horse. And that's just like, can you make a better book for a young girl in elementary school? Like, oh my God, I read all of these and I loved them. And now I have a niece who's big horse girl. She does rodeos and stuff. And so she loves reading these because my sister homeschools her. And so she loves having these for like reading exercises. So I'm definitely going to get her a few Treasured Horse Girl collection series. Christmas in Silver Lake was one of my favorites because it had a Clydesdale. I love a big old draft horse, like traveler horses, Clydesdales. Oh, I love them. I've always wanted a traveler horse. I know back in the day they were called gypsy vanners. I think now they're called traveling horses or traveler horses. Anyways, I always wanted one of those. Oh, they're just so big. They're so big and just so cute. Ooh. But I don't want the feed budget. It's the fun thing about horses. They are very expensive. Let's get into Christmas in Silver Lake, the story of a dependable Clydesdale and the immigrant girl who turns to her for comfort. And there's horse facts at the end of these novels. So I am, of course, going to read the horse facts to y'all. Christmas in Silver Lake cover, okay? This cover is a winter wonderland, of course. Christmas in Silver Lake in big Christmassy red lettering. And we have a girl. Okay, so the girl is wearing what is that? Like a purple parka. She is sitting in hay. So there's like hay all around her. And she has a red and pink scarf wrapped around her hair and her head and little pink gloves. She has brown hair. And she is in a teal carriage, or not a carriage, a teal sleigh. Like she's sitting in a big teal sleigh and her big Clydesdale is pulling it. And she's got little jingle bells on the Clydesdale and she's got her little stick for navigating the Clydesdale. I know people like think that they're whips, but they're honestly just for touching the sides of the horse to let it know kind of signals. And it's just a cute little rural Christmas picture here. Very cute. Very cute indeed. The first chapter I really liked. It's called In English, Please. Because again, this is an immigrant girl. She is from Germany, which, let's be honest, it's kind of weird right now to see German immigrants being persecuted. But it happened. If you can imagine, racism has always existed. And if you are different than the status quo, no matter what, you know. And we open to Erica, and Erica is a young girl, and she is grooming Silky, her Clydesdale, and she is practicing her English to herself, asking questions. I do that with Spanish. I walk around the house talking to myself in Spanish because that muscle will atrophy real quick. And it has greatly since I've moved to Arkansas and lost a lot of my Spanish-speaking community. But I talk to myself in Spanish as best I can, and I sound probably crazy because it's probably all very broken and very terrible. When you're learning another language, you know how it is. You're just sitting there kind of conversating with yourself in two languages. And she is comparing Silky. She likes Silky. Silky is a big draft horse for her family. But she has a horse back home in Germany called Starlight. And now Starlight was a sleek, black, fast, beautiful, I forgot what kind of horse, but just real different than a big old American Clydesdale working horse, And she just throughout the book keeps comparing Silky to Starlight. She admits that her father bought Silky in hopes to cheer Erica up when they moved to America because Erica loved Starlight so much. And parents, they mean well, but you can't replace one animal with the other. They're different. And Erica Silky represents America to Erica. That rhymes. But Silky represents this big, brash American lifestyle that they now have to integrate into. And she's very homesick for Starlight and Germany. They're headed to the Harvest Festival in their town, and they go help a Swedish family that their carriage overturned. And it's interesting because it's like the Swedish immigrant family speaks enough English And then the German immigrant family speaks enough English and they're trying to conversate with one another in English. It's very interesting. I knew a family like that. I knew a Korean family that had a Mexican family that helped them at their restaurant, and then they could only talk to each other in the few English that they knew. So languages are just crazy. And to learn anything from any language is just always impressive. I never knack anybody for knowing 2 languages, even if one is not as strong as the other. And the young Swedish family, they have a daughter, Erica's age, called Kari, Kari, Kari. And she is not nice to Erica because she speaks English very well. And Erica is still learning. And she's just being a snotty-nosed bitch, to be honest. Erica feels really sad. She's like, the only friend I have in all of America is this big, stinky Clydesdale. And Silky's so nice to her. They go to the Harvest Festival. Erica's looking at all of the girls braiding each other's hair and having fun. She feels like she's really missing out. So she goes and starts kind of grooming Silky so people don't think that she's lonely, just acting busy. Silky was hitched to a post next to Lindstrom's mare. Erica watched as the horses touched noses in a friendly way. Even you have a friend, Erica said to Silky. It must be nice to be a horse. You can make friends without talking. Silky snorted playfully at Erica and moved toward her. Erica reached out to stroke Silky's side. Erica felt a pang of regret that she paid so little attention to Silky. But it was so hard. She couldn't stop thinking of Starlight. Silky wasn't the kind of horse you took out for a fast, exciting ride. Silky was a workhorse. Proud, strong, patient. Not the kind of horse a girl became attached to. In this whole book, it's kind of funny that her dad, she'll be talking in German to Silky, and her dad will just like come up behind her and be like, English, you have to speak in English, practice. And she's like, Jesus Christ. Like she's talking right now to Silky and like having this moment, and her dad comes up behind her and is like, and English, please. And she's like, God damn it, you scared the shit out of me, Dad. There is a carriage race, which sounds really dangerous because kids can enter. And that sounds crazy dangerous, but Mr. Lindstrom, the Swedish dad, he's like, are you going to enter the carriage race? Swedish people. And Erica says, sure, why not? Her and Silky make a good team for some reason. She's always like, why does Silky like me so much? But this horse does. And here we have, again, Kari and her horse, Max. Erica smiled over at Kari. Kari did smile back, but then she looked calmly at Erica and said, you won't win. I always win. Every year. I use the prize money to have a party for my friends. Erica hadn't understood all of it. She heard the words win and party, and she'd seen Kari smile for the first time. Maybe everything will be fine, and we'll be friends, Erica thought happily. So again, she's like, this girl's being mean to her in English, but poor little Erica's like, I only heard friend and party. Okay. Like, oh. Bless her little heart. They enter the race and Erica uses English on Silky. Like she's so caught up in the race that she's saying like, go Silky, go. And she's using English and it's coming to her very naturally. So, she's learning. Silky stumbles for a second, but Erica's really good at this carriage driving stuff. And she gets this little girl gets this whole ass Clydesdale up and goes through the race and they win. Like, damn. Erica tries to say something nice to Kari through English. She tries to say like, thank you for running with me. Like she's trying to say, I had a good time. Thank you for like a fun competition. Like, let's go brush down our horses. And her English is so broken up that she kind of comes off saying like, thank you for losing. Bless her heart. Anyways, Kari obviously takes offense and she's a bitch and she yells, go back to Germany where you came from, and you're just like, oh. The next day, Erica, of course, has to start school. She doesn't want to go, but she goes because her dad thinks it's very important for her to learn her education. She goes, even Silky, she gets off the buggy and Silky nudges her and nudges towards the school and whinnies. And she's like, okay, Silky, I'm going. Clydesdales, they're so maternal. they were bred to kind of be good with kids. And so they have a very strong maternal instinct. So I'm sure Silky was like, you better get to school, girl. There is Kari and her friend Bridget. And they're very mean to Erica at school. But of course, the teacher is like, oh, Bridget and Kari are also immigrants. Let's put you right in between them because they speak English the best and they will help you learn English. And Erica's like, fuck my life. Erica is great at math because there's no speaking, but she sucks at spelling, obviously. And Kari and Bridget are passing a note and the teacher makes them read it out loud. And the note says, she's as stupid as her horse. And I couldn't help but think of on Lilo and Stitch where Lilo just beats the brakes off of Myrtle at the little hula practice. And that's kind of what I wanted Erica to do. Like, just grab fucking Kari by the throat, girl. Bridget and Kari are put outside. The teacher punishes them. And she's like, go wait outside. Y'all are mean. And they put grasshoppers in Erica's lunch. So she opens it. Grasshoppers everywhere, which isn't the worst thing, but still gross. But she's a tough little German girl. And she looks him in the eye and just takes a big bite of her sandwich. And is like, you won't scare me. You won't scare me. Papa has great news. As if today wasn't going great for Erica. He has greater news in the sense that it is about to be wintertime. And in the winter, a lot of rural people would move closer to town just because resources were closer. It's very hard to live out in the open in the wintertime. And so, hey, they're going to move just for the winter closer to town. And guess what, Erica? That means you will never miss school even if the winter is bad. And Erica's like, great. Yay. There is a fancy snowball in this house that was her mom's from Germany. And of course, as Erica is admiring the snowball and reminiscing of home, her little sister breaks it. Her mom has been so sweet and so strong this whole book. And so like, go make friends, go make friends, learn English. I love you so, like, just a great little house on the prairie mom. And the snow globe breaks and her mom just sits in a chair, puts her head in her hands and sobs. And all of the girls kind of have a moment of crying because they miss home. But her mom's very strong and they cry. And then her mom gets up and says, well, I think we've done enough crying for 100 years. Let's get back to our chores. And you're just like, oh God, bless our ancestors that had to just suck it up back then, Erica gets a job in town as the mail girl. Her job is to hitch up Silky in the carriage and go to the train every morning before school and bring the mail to town, to the post office. And she can earn some income for her family. Again, these kids were working as young as like 8 years old. I think Erica's like 12 in this novel. And as she goes to do the mail, she sings. She sings in German. She has a beautiful singing voice. And Silky really enjoys it. And she sings. And Silky almost kind of walks to the rhythm. And it's very cute. She remembers there is auditions for the Christmas pageant coming up. And of course, because she's literally working before school, she's late for the auditions. Oh, luckily, it's kind of like one of those cliffhanger chapter ends of like, and she missed the audition. And then you go to the next chapter and it's like, but the teacher said it was okay. She can try again. She sings beautifully. The teacher wants her to sing in both German and English because the teacher has so many students of immigrants. She wants them to kind of like do this international Christmas pageant, which is really great. Erica goes kind of Christmas shopping because when she won her carriage race, she got some credits at the general store. And so she buys her daddy some buttons. She buys Silky some horse treats. And she wants to get her mom a new snow globe or to fix her snow globe. Obviously, that's kind of slim pickings in this tiny town. However, the general store manager tells her about the glass man. This could be a horror movie. And he's like, if you go to the woods, little girl, alone, like not alone, but he's like, yeah, go to the woods where there's a bunch of pine trees and you will find a cottage. And that is the glass man. And he makes things of glass. And you're like, oh no, don't do that. But she does. Luckily, he's a nice guy because this is a children's novel. He's a nice guy. And he says, I will fix your mom's snow globe for $2, because I think that's all she had left, if you deliver these Christmas gifts for me. Okay? And she's like, of course. I'm the delivery girl. She is driving back home with Silky, and she sees a lone little girl skating out on this lake, which even back then they're like, ooh, kind of dangerous. And it's her goddamn little sister. And she's like, Lisa, get over here. And of course, true Disney kids movie, the ice starts cracking. Oh my God. So Erica grabs one of Silky's like ropes, throws it to her little sister, says, tie this around your waist. And Silky pulls her sister as the lake is cracking under her feet. Oh my God. Like, I know we say this all the time, but where were the parents? Did her parents just go, yeah, your little 5-year-old sister is going skating by herself on a lake. What could go wrong? It's a wonder any of us have made it this far. It is now time for the Christmas pageant. Kari is in her like American Girl Swedish costume with like the little wreath and the candles, like that St. Lucia get up. And now it is Erica's time to sing. She has been trying to practice singing in English, and it's difficult. But I think learning a song in another language is a great way to learn another language. I know a ton of Selena songs. Selena Quintanilla, not Gomez. Selena songs in Spanish, can sing them perfectly, but if you ask me what a lot of them were about, I'd kind of be like, ooh. She gets up, she sings in English beautifully. Oh, so good. Little Mariah Carey up there. But then it's time to sing in English, and she's like, shit. But Silky's at the window, and so she sings to Silky in English, and Silky rocks. Because remember, she sings to Silky on their way to get the mail. So Silky starts kind of rocking back and forth with her singing. And it helps kind of, I guess like a metronome? Like that tick, 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 tick helps her keep calm and keep the beat. You know, this horse rocking back and forth. And it's just a really cute moment. They do well. Guess what? Kari is still a bitch. She has all this candy that she's supposed to hand out as St. Lucia. And so Erica goes up to get her little sister a piece of candy, not herself. She's like, hey, my little sister would really like a candy cane, Kari, please. And Kari's like, we're all out. I ran out of candy. Sorry. It is now Christmas Eve, and Erica needs to go to the glass man to get her mom's snow globe, because he said come back on the 24th, which is just, you're really putting this girl in a pinch, sir. She tells her dad, she's like, hey, I need to go get mom's Christmas gift. And he's like, okay, there's a big snowstorm coming, so hurry. I just feel like, no, or let me come with you, or I'll go get it. I just don't know if I would send my child into the woods to a man to get a gift and be like, well, there's a snowstorm coming up, so be careful. I mean, wow. I'm not saying we should like gentle parent and helicopter over our kids nowadays, but maybe a little precaution. Maybe go with her. Go with her. She goes to the glass man's house and he's really kind. He has like some tea waiting for her because he knows it's very cold. And he has her a little glass horse that looks like Silky. And he said, you and your horse seem to have a really strong bond, so I wanted to make you your own little gift. As they are going home, she has the snow globe. She has a little glass horse, and she has those vases that she has to deliver for the glass man. She notices 2 figures on that goddamn lake again, but now it's snowing a shit ton. And so these figures on the lake are kind of scrambling and lost because it's like sleeting snow, and they're in ice skates and they're freezing. And guess who it is? It's Kari and Bridget. And you want Erica to just, and just go on, but she's not. This is a kid's novel. So she gets them on the sled, but it is now like hailing, freezing blizzard snow. They can't see where they're going. Erica is just really relying on Silky to get them home, and she's really worried. These are little girls in a snowstorm, and this poor Clydesdale can't see 10 inches in front of her face. Silky, though, doesn't find the town, but she finds their old house, that they live in outside of winter. And Erica's like, close enough, close enough. And she puts Silky in the barn, Through this, Silky strains her foot, and you're really worried because like a horse with a broken leg or a strain back in those days. Ugh. So you're like, oh, please, please, please don't be like a Willow moment. Erica puts Silky in the barn, make sure she's okay. She doesn't have food for her. So she's like, hang on, girl. Like, let's just hope someone will find us. The girls go into the cabin and they find some leftover wood. They take off their wet clothes. So they're kind of like huddled together, freezing. And Erica has a lunch that her dad made her and she shares. And Kari and Bridget pull out candy from the Christmas pageant. And Kari confesses, hey, I've been a bitch. Which I feel we all know and Erica is well aware of. But it's nice to hear it be acknowledged. We have this. I have a confession to make, she said. She opened her hands and there was a white and red stick of peppermint. This was yours from the Christmas festival, Kari said. I kept it from you. Bridget and I were going to eat it today when we went skiing. Erica stared at the candy and then at Kari. She didn't know what to say. It was an awful feeling to learn that Kari had purposely kept it from her. It's yours, Kari said, pressing it into Erica's hand. You saved our lives and it's Christmas. Kari began to cry, wiping the tears on the back of her hand. I've been terrible, she continues. I've been mean to you. I'm very sorry. I know you must hate me. Kari put her head down and sobbed harder. Erica put a hand tentatively on Kari's shoulder. She patted her, much as she did it with Silky. It is fine, Erica said. It is over. Don't cry. Kari straightened up impulsively, grabbed Erica, and gave her a hug. Erica was surprised at this, and she hugged Kari back. I'm sorry too, Bridget added. She too reached over and joined the hug. Can you tell me why? Erica asked. I still do not know why you hate me. Kari shook her head, still drying her tears. It's hard to explain, she said. First you beat me at wagon race. Then it was clear that Miss McGrath's favorite was you. And all the little kids like you. You're good at math. You have the best singing voice in the whole school. The only thing you couldn't do was speak English. Erica was silent, trying to digest this information. It was shocking to think that anyone could have been jealous of her when she was so miserable and lonely. But she knew how powerful feelings of jealousy could be. She'd been very jealous of Kari and Bridget's friendship. Erica carefully broke the peppermint into 3 pieces and handed them out. Now we are all friends, she said solemnly, and the girls sucked their candy. Suddenly they heard the sound of horses outside the house and voices calling. Erica ran to the door and threw it open. In here, she called. Here we are. Their daddies show up and save them, but that's so sweet. It is. I hate that they had to go through so much to like be friends. But like, oh, it's that thing of like bullies are always insecure and you have to find out. And like, oh, it's just so cute. And they shared their little peppermint. And like all of these girls are immigrants, again, bonding on trying to speak a universal language. You love to see it. They are rescued. They go home. And Erica, they have this Christmas tree they cut out paper butterflies and put it on the pine tree. And then they cover it with candles. And a part of me is just like, ugh, again. I know we were a little ignorant back in the day, but I don't know if I'd put lit candles on a pine tree covered in paper butterflies. Maybe it was like dispersed real, like the butterflies were way over here and the candles were way over here. Erica gives her little sister her glass horse, and her little sister goes, I have my own Silky. And it's so cute. And of course, Erica gives her mom her snow globe, and her mom cries happy tears. This is a strong German mom, so you know this is very emotional. And everybody comes in, even the little Swedish family and Kari, they all come in for a wonderful Christmas Day meal. And here we have the last little paragraph of this story. I will be back, she said, putting on her coat. She found the bag of horse candy she'd bought for Silky weeks before and slipped outside. She ran for the barn, eager to see her beloved friend. Silky stood in her stall, keeping the weight off her injured leg. It was bandaged in white cloth from the knee to fetlock. It didn't seem to be affecting her appetite, for she was nosing around for the last bits in her feed pail. I'm sorry you were hurt, Erica said, stroking Silky's soft brown coat. Silky stopped eating and turned to look at Erica. She nickered energetically. her ears forward and her tail bobbing. "Merry Christmas, Silky," Erica said, her heart filled with joy. "I hope we'll be together for many Christmases to come." And there's a picture of her with her horse. Oh, that's so cute. I love Horse Girl Christmas. Can we do this every year? Oh, this has been so nice. Again, this literature that we are missing out on because of age range, because of paperback versus hardcover, I don't know, but we're missing out on such cute little stories. I loved reading these. Like, again, I'm going to be the one to give you permission to buy the middle grade, the elementary school, whatever you want, these little novels. Just read them for like a little lunch break. Like I said, little pocket lunch, you know, just a little break when you don't have the time to like ingest a whole ass novel. I think they're super great. Like I said, I allow myself to buy the Royal Diaries, Bella Sarah books. Y'all know me in the Little House on the Prairie. That was the first video. That mess. Like, again, if Harry Potter's a middle grade book and people reread that all the damn time. So yes, like, don't feel bad. Okay. Life is tough. Read the stories that make you feel good. Maybe this is a great way if reading novels is kind of daunting to you. Maybe start out with like some of these middle grade books and, you know, work your way up with like strengthening your attention span on that. We all know social media is destroying our attention spans. So yeah, that's our Christmas little stories. Now, my next video I want to do for Christmas is going to be a movie, but for Cody begging me to recap this movie. I talk about it every year with him. I refuse to watch it because it makes me sob, makes me cry. And that is called Annabelle's Wish. It was, I think, like a Hallmark movie, and it is about a little cow and a little boy and Christmas magic, and it's insane, and no one knows what I'm talking about when I talk about it. But I'm going to recap Annabelle's Wish for my next video. Also because it's, you know, Christmas time and I just want to spend time with my family. I don't want to necessarily sit down and read a giant novel. So yeah, my next video, get ready for Annabelle's Wish and me just crying on this microphone. That movie is so sad. Why are Christmas movies, why can't they just be fun? Why, even in these? Why does something crazy have to happen for it to be a Christmas miracle? Why can't we just have a Christmas day? We don't need a miracle all the time. Sometimes we just want a day, you know? But like Christmas thrives on miracles. I don't know. It's a lot. Oh, shoot. I'm supposed to read y'all horse facts. Okay, real quick. Horse facts. Facts about the breed. An average Clydesdale stands 16.2 hands high. Sometimes 17 hands. A hand is equal to 4 inches. So you do the math. Clydesdales are usually bay, brown with black mane, tail, and lower leg, or brown. Other common Clydesdale colors include red and blue roan, gray, and black. The breed almost always have heavy white markings on their face and legs. Clydesdales have long, heavy hair on their lower legs called feathers or feathering. The feathering on a Clydesdale is silky and helps to give the horse its elegant appearance. The tail of the Clydesdale, like the tail of other heavy breeds, is kept short so that it doesn't get tangled in the reins or harness. Docking or amputating the tailbone, once a common practice, is now illegal in England and in most of the United States. The head of the Clydesdale is more refined than the head of other draft or work horses. The profile is usually straight rather than curved. Clydesdales have well-sloped shoulders and prominent withers. The withers of this powerful breed are higher than the rear end. This arrangement gives the Clydesdale increased pulling power. Clydesdales and other draft horses are considered cold-blooded horses. Cold-blooded horses, also known as heavy or draft horses, originated in Northern Europe. These horses do not really have cold blood, but they come from cold regions. Hot-blooded horses, such as the Arabian, come from hot deserts of northern Africa. Unlike their hot-blooded relations, cold-blooded horses typically have calm temperament that, coupled with their large size, makes them suitable for heavy work. The Clydesdale was developed in the Clyde Valley of Scotland, and Scottish immigrants to Canada brought the first Clydesdale to North America around 1850. That's recent. Oh. After the Civil War, Scottish immigrants in the United States began to import Clydesdales to Wisconsin and Michigan, and that is where you find the capital of Clydesdale breeding. Thanks to Budweiser Clydesdales, this big, elegant horse is probably the most recognized breed of draft horse in the United States. The horses at the head of a team are called lead horses since they have to cover more ground when taking corners than the rest of the team, and they must move quickly. Swing horses, the pair or pairs in the middle of the team, also must have special skills, since swinging the pole, which is attached to the wagon, runs between the pair or pairs. These horses must be especially nimble on their feet so they don't get hit by the pole when making turns. Today, Clydesdales can be found in Germany, Russia, Japan, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and of course, Canada, Scotland, and United States. The most expensive Clydesdale was bought by a Japanese horse lover in 1990 for 20,000 pounds, about $30,000. That's not that much, honestly. I bet you can find one that's been sold for a lot more. So I hope y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing y'all for our Christmas movie recap of Annabelle's Wish. Again, bring the tissues. That movie's going to fuck you up. I promise. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful Horse Girl Christmas.